Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday. Means we're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. And as you might imagine, lots and lots to do. Saints back on the practice field in full pads. Ross Jackson is along in 1 hour to talk about that. We also heard from Kellen Moore earlier. We'll get some sound on that in the second hour. It's What If Wednesday. If you're in the Bayou Ford chat or you hear me and you want to jump on Twitter and throw some what ifs at me, we'll take them for 30 minutes from right now. And we've made it through the offseason. It's over. We were out at LSU football practice today for about an hour and a half, and I've got an entire notebook full of stuff. If you don't have time to sit here and listen to me talk about it for the next 30 minutes, you can go check it out at louisianasports.net for free. We got lots and lots to get into, so let's do it. We'll start with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
There's a pep in my step this morning. Got up, got a run in, got the kiddo to school, and we headed over to the Ponderosa to check out LSU football practice. I know that y'all have heard me over the years talk about how it's not the most interesting thing in the world to go check out, and I would stand by that take relative to what I think most diehard LSU fans would feel about it. Like, I don't get a ton out of watching wide receivers run through cones and catch passes from a grad assistant 5 yards away from them. I don't get a ton out of watching offensive linemen go through walkthroughs on which linebackers to hit. That's not the most fun thing in the world, even though I think a lot of people think going to an LSU football practice would be a really, really cool thing. But that said, I do like the first day. I like the first day. You're getting to look at some guys for the first time. You're getting to look at guys you haven't seen since April, getting to look at who's out there first, running through rotations, and it's just a signal that the quote-unquote dead of summer is moving beyond us, and we're getting closer to some real, actual live football, and we saw a good bit of practice today. So let's kind of go into the things that I saw first and foremost. Let's start with injury stuff, okay? Because that's very evident. That's not a guess. That's not something that you're making an overreaction on. Just in terms of the guys that were there, the guys that were not, and what the guys that have come off an injury were looking like. So we'll start there. Harold Perkins, pretty big name dude, linebacker. First team, running through every drill, full speed, no brace, no nothing. He's ready to rock. Whit Weeks, broken leg in the bowl game, full speed, first team, middle linebacker, no significant brace of any sort. He's full speed and ready to go. So those two guys in the middle of your defense that you lost due to injury last year, once in September with Harold Perkins in the ACL, once in the bowl game with Whit Weeks getting rolled up on, those guys are ready to rock and roll. Jacobian Guillory was at practice, had the helmet on, going through some individual stuff, did not participate in the team drills. This is not completely shocking. Jacobian Guillory is a sixth-year senior. He doesn't have to go through the first day of fall camp for the sixth time. They're bringing him back slowly from an Achilles injury. That's a big man. Jacobian Guillory, let me make sure I got my numbers right here. Yeah, 6'2", 318 pounds. That's a guy who they're going to bring along fairly slowly. Now, I'll tell you this. When they wrapped up spring in April, Jacobian Guillory was in pads at practice. Now, he wasn't popping pads, but he was in pads at practice going through some off-to-the-side work with his position coaches. So I don't feel like Jacobian Guillory is a long way away from being full speed. He might be ready to go full speed right this very minute. But that's a significant injury to a big man, and I think LSU is going to take their time with him this early. It is July as of today. Now, LSU does play in August this year, which is rare, but it is July. So I think that that's not necessarily a huge cause for concern with him, but it's something we'll monitor as we continue to go out there. Nick Anderson comes in from Oklahoma. I have hyped Nick Anderson up a ton. I talked about him in my wide receiver breakdown. I wrote about it at LouisianaSports.net. I picked him to lead LSU in receiving, just as kind of looking across the board and looking at his potential and what LSU has at that group. And I've got high hopes for Nick Anderson. And I had high hopes for Nick Anderson when he came over in the spring. And I remember having Brandon Drum on my show. He covers Oklahoma. And he said that, I said, well, tell me about Nick Anderson. He's a freak. And then we started talking about the injury. He's like, well, we never really found out about it. He's talking about the media. Like, it was a hip, and then it was an oblique, and then maybe it was a hamstring, and it was just something in the middle of his body, and it just he never came back. He played in one game and was never to be seen again in Norman. So we watch him in the spring, and Nick Anderson is there, and he's going through the cone drills and running those, and you see his size, his physicality, you know what production he had at Oklahoma, but just not ready to participate in the 11-on-11 and the 7-on-7. And that's April. That's back 3.5 months ago. So I told y'all on Monday of this week, like, the first thing I'm going to do when we go in to practice is find him and see what's up. And I found him. And he had his helmet on and his jersey on, and he was not in no contact, had a sleeve on his leg, and it went all the way from the pants, which stop above the knee, down to his ankle. Black sleeve all the way down. And he was going through the cone drills, what looked to me to be 100%. But they sent the first team out there, and he wasn't with them. And they sent the second team out there, and he wasn't with them. And he didn't do in the 5-on-7, didn't do 7-on-7, didn't do 11-on-11. And when they went outside and did the 11-on-11, he was standing off to the side holding his receiver gloves. That, to me, doesn't look like a guy that's anticipating he's going to go in that drill. So I'm not a doctor. I don't know what exactly is going on with Nick Anderson. It could be a Jacoby and Guillory type deal. Remember last year in fall camp, Zy Alexander was just kind of held out precautionally because he tore his ACL. They're giving him some time, and he didn't start the first game, but he played a little bit. By the time they got to Ole Miss, he was out there. And again, I don't know what the timeline is for Nick Anderson because I don't really know what the injury is.
There is. I think Brian Kelly talked about it.
Well, do you have the sound?
Yeah, actually, let me get it real quick.
That'd be good. Again, I blasted from practice, wrote the practice report, and here I'm here. So if you've got an update on that, I'm all about it. Let's go.
Yeah, we kept him out of contact today. He had gone through our concussion protocol. He got into a little fender bender, and so we wanted to make sure. So he's cleared our concussion protocol. So today was his day of non-contact. He'll be able to get into 11-on-11, 7-on-7 tomorrow.
That makes a lot of sense because, again, I tell you, he's running through the cone drills and looks good. And then he's not going through the 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. So that's good news. Again, I think Nick Anderson is a supremely talented guy, and he is a uniquely gifted player in this receiving corps because they don't have anybody else that's 6'3", with that kind of speed and body control and that kind of home run hitting ability. Like Kylan Billiot's 6'3", but I don't know what level of receiver he is. He certainly didn't set LSU's freshman record for touchdown catches like Anderson set Oklahoma's freshman record for touchdown catches. And Chris Hilton and Barry and Brown can run for days, but they're not 6'3". And Aaron Anderson has been massively productive. He's LSU's leading receiver last year, but he's not 6'3" either. So this is a guy that I'm hoping for a big year out of. Good to know, nothing significant with the lower extremity injury, which he is still wearing something for, I think. But concussion protocol for the car accident that we know happened right before SEC Media Days. So good to know on that front. And then you've got the last bit of injury news that we found out today, and it's disappointing, but I don't think massively upsetting as far as this roster goes right now. Solomon Thomas, 5-star offensive lineman that we've talked about a lot. He came in the spring. He was a top 5 consensus offensive lineman by every service, and was a guy that you're looking at 4 open offensive line spots. He could potentially push for one. I would put that on hold in a big way because Solomon Thomas has a broken toe in his foot. Metatarsal is what Brian Kelly told Matt Moscona earlier today. He was not at practice today as far as being dressed out, and he's going to miss a month. So you're talking about missing all of camp, really all the way to the Clemson game. To me, that's almost an impossible hill to reclimb once you're ready to go. Like if you have an extended period of time in camp and then get a little injury there at the end and have to miss the first couple of weeks of the season, maybe you get eased back in. Dominic McKinley did that last year. But if you miss all of camp and you miss all of the development stuff and all of the install stuff and all of the scrimmages and all of those reps that go with the first team, second team, third team, all that time where everybody else is working, and then you show up, you're like, hey, I'm ready to go, and you got to get ready to play Clemson and then Florida 2 weeks later. Like, we don't have time to integrate you into things at that point. Like, not someone, I can integrate a third-year receiver in pretty quickly. A first-year offensive lineman, that's going to be an issue. So, Solomon Thomas, I think his playing time in 2025 is really, really doubtful if you miss all of August. That's just the nature of this beast. One guy that had this happen early on in camp, and this is just off the top of my head, there are probably a lot that have happened over the course of the last 20 years, but Jarvis Landry got hurt in fall camp. And I think he's a guy they would have liked to get in on that 2011 team. Odell was really the second receiver on that team. Ruben Randall was far and away the first receiver, but Jarvis missed all of camp and then couldn't really break his way in on that awesome team. And then he came back as a sophomore as a superstar. I'm not here to tell you what Solomon Thomas's 3, 4, 5 years at LSU are going to look like. I'm telling you that year one is massively compromised if you miss all of August. And that's the case right now with him. So that's your look at the injury side of this thing. It's a team outside of Thomas that is healthy and ready to go. They're going to ease back some of these veterans, it appears. But mainly, this is a healthy football team ready to get going in fall camp. So that's the first part of the most important portion of this practice report. Now we get into what I saw on the field. I've got first and second teams on offense and defense. I've got a standout on offense of the day. I got a standout on defense of the day. Let's talk about that when we come back on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Employment practices liability, cyber liability, directors and officers, umbrellas. These are things that not every business owner is keenly aware of, and you shouldn't have to be. You're somebody that's running your own business. But if you don't know exactly what that is, and all you know about your insurance program is that it's expensive, maybe get a second set of eyes on it. Call Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group. Let them audit your current policy. They'll look at your coverages. They'll look at the markets that are handling your insurance, and they'll look at your premium and they'll go, okay, this is what we can do to fix it. And if it's nothing, which is very rare, they'll say, hey, you're good. But if there are significant issues, they're right here to fix it for you. That's their expertise when it comes to insurance. They are all about the coverage, and they want to make sure their clients are taken care of when something goes wrong that you haven't foreseen. That's what insurance is here to do. And that's what the Highland Insurance Group is here to make sure is possible for you. So contact them at HighlandIG.com. It's Jonathan Carbo and his team right here in the Baton Rouge area. They can help you out statewide in Louisiana. It's Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient, and you will have your pool in no time.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, shout out to our friends at Renaissance Homes and Pools. Contact our guy, Joey Landry. I'm going to give you a cell phone number at the end of this read, so if you want a pool, I'm going to give you a phone number to call. He's the owner of Renaissance Homes and Pools. He's helped dozens and dozens and dozens of people in the Baton Rouge area put in the pool of their dreams. Joey's got this unbelievable software that he'll sit down with you, with that in front of you, and go through every detail of your pool to scale. If you want to put an outdoor kitchen in, that can be in there. You've got a cocktail pool that you want to put in, if you want one that's big for the entire family or for some younger kids that got grandkids, you want to deal and make things more palatable for them. No matter what custom pool you want, Joey and his team at Renaissance Homes and Pools can make it happen for you. And it's not too late to start that process. We can swim here until October into November probably. And this can be a 6 to 8 week process depending on when you start and what the scope of the work is. So if you want to get started today on the pool of your dreams, call Joey Blanchard's cell phone number, 225-252-7745. Again, that's 225-252-7745. That is Renaissance Homes and Pools. All right, so let's start with what I saw today at the first part of practice, which was indoors, when they went to the first team offense, which was working against no defense. The offensive line is what we all kind of figured it would be when we got to fall camp. Tyree Adams at left tackle, DJ Chester at left guard, moving over from center. Braylon Moore has been the center. He was not the first team center in the spring. Chester did a lot of that. They've moved Moore to center now. Josh Thompson at right guard and Weston Davis at right tackle. At wide receiver, your top three guys were Aaron Anderson, Chris Hilton, and Xavion Thomas. A lot of seniority there. A lot of very old players that have been in Baton Rouge for multiple years. You got Trey Green at tight end, Caden Durham at running back, and Garrett Nussmeier as the quarterback. Your second team offense, Carius Kern is working at left tackle, the true freshman who was kind of thought of as an interior player by most of the services, playing left tackle today on the second team. Paul Mabenga is the second team left guard. He will compete there with DJ Chester, who was the first team left guard. Braden Augustus, who's a walk-on, was the center. DJ Chester's the backup center. And Cohen Eccles is probably the third team center, and Eccles was the second team right guard. So Braden Augustus is a long way from getting to the field, but he was manning that center spot for LSU so that Mabenga and Eccles could work at the guard spots. And Bo Bordelon was the right tackle. Berrien Brown, Kyle Parker, and Destin Hill were the second team wide receivers. We mentioned Anderson didn't go through those portions of practice. Bauer Sharp was at tight end. Caleb Jackson at running back, and Michael Van Buren was the quarterback. They got into some 11 on 11. And keep in mind, they don't have pads on. They don't have shoulder pads on. They're not, hitting hard. They're not tackling anybody. So you take the 7-yard gain with a grain of salt. But just what we saw in their working down the field 11 on 11, Nussmeier looked incredibly sharp. The first team offense looked incredibly sharp. You saw some really good work early from Caden Durham. Xavion Thomas caught a 10-yard stop route. Bauer Sharp had a little middle screen that he ran where he went out to the right and then came back underneath and caught a screen pass from the tight end spot. Then on probably the throw and catch of the day, Garrett Nussmeier took a snap with a free play. The right defensive end jumped off sides. He saw it. Barian Brown was streaking on Ashton Stamps, and Nussmeier delivered it right to the goal line, dropped it right in the bucket. Brown made the catch. It was a gorgeous catch and throw for a touchdown. And Stamps did get his revenge 2 plays later when they tried to throw a back corner fade to Barian Brown, and Stamps broke it up, made a nice play on the ball. When the second group on offense and defense went out there, the second group really on defense had its way. Tylen Singleton, who has put on some good weight, had a sack. Patrick Payton had a sack. Those were on the first 4 plays that the group ran. Bernard Gooden got a pressure on the next play on the interior defensive tackle. Teron Francis made a really nice catch on DJ Pickett. And then Colin Hurley took over and almost threw 2 interceptions on that play. I thought that things that I observed in the indoor portion of practice before we went outside, A.J. Halsey's size is very obvious at safety. He is not overly tall. He's only 6 feet tall, but he's 225 pounds, and you can tell. Like, he's a big physical dude at safety. Harold Perkins, as I mentioned in the first segment, was looked pain-free to me. Caleb Jackson's lost a little bit of weight, and Harlan Berry has gained a little bit of weight at running back. As far as the depth chart goes on defense, Jack Pyburn and Gabe Relaford were the first-team defensive ends inside. Ahmad Bro and Dominic McKinley, the 2 sophomore defensive tackles, were the starters at that spot. I mentioned Guillory in the first segment. He wasn't quite out there just yet. Whit Weeks and West Weeks were the inside linebackers. The 2 brothers were in there. And then Harold Perkins obviously was playing the star. Got asked a couple times after I left practice via text message, who were the corners? And I responded very quickly, Mansour Delane and Ashton Stamps were your number 1 corners for the defense inside. And then Tamarcus Cooley and Jordan Gilbert were manning the safety positions on the first team. Second team defense, Patrick Payton and Jamari Butler, the 2 transfers who were seniors on this team, were playing the defensive end. Sidier Mitchell and Bernard Gooden, also 2 transfers, were at defensive tackle. Devon Keys and Charles Ross, you have the sophomore and the true freshman, were at linebacker. Tylen Singleton, who I mentioned earlier, was at the star. P.J. Woodland and D.J. Pickett were your second team corners, and then Javian Toviano and A.J. Halsey were your safeties on the second team.
Did it surprise you that Peyton was on the second team?
He was in on the first team when they went outside, and they couldn't block him. So now it's, again, I don't want everyone to get ahead of themselves as everyone does. They don't have pads on. So, like, how important is a sack? How big is the deal that the offensive tackle got beat on a play? I feel like it's a different sport without pads on. And they're not sacking the quarterback to the ground, obviously. So, it's take with it what you will. I think it's noteworthy to look at who was on the first team and second team, but Peyton did come in, and I'll get to him here in a second. But Garrett Nussmeier went out in the 5-on-7 period, 5 offensive players against 7 defensive players, no offensive line, and he was just exceptional. Now, you would expect that. There's no pass rush, literally, and no one can hit him even if they were rushing. So he's just back there looking and throwing, and we know he's awesome at that. And he started 7 for 7 on outside in the 5-on-7 period. Hit Chris Hilton on a gorgeous go route, dropped it just over the outside shoulder, and Hilton kind of caught it and went down to the ground on the sideline for a nice catch. And then here's the first real standout player from today, and I would have not guessed it when I walked into the gate. Destin Hill was a star today. There may be some of you listening and go, I don't even know who Destin Hill is, and that's okay. Destin Hill was a 4-star recruit out of Carr. He chose to go to Florida State. The first 2 years he was in Tallahassee, he didn't play football. And then he played a year, and then he got hurt. So he's been there 4 years out of Carr, and he hasn't really played. He's played 10 games. But he's old, he's physical, and he made 3 catches in traffic today. One in the indoor period when he rose up over the middle of the field, behind the linebackers in front of the safeties, made a leaping catch from Nussmeier, great catch. He caught 2 balls in traffic over the middle of the field in the 5-on-7 period that were very much contested, and Hill went through Ashton Stamps to catch one of them and then caught another one in traffic as well. And then right near the end of our portion of viewing, he was right in front of me, and there was a ball that he was on the sideline. They threw a ball up over his head. He went up and one hand caught it, absorbed a hit from a DB, and took it to the ground and held on to it. He made, by my count, 5 really nice catches in an hour and a half that we were out there. He was great. and LSU is just more proof that LSU's got an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver. When they went to 11 on 11 outside, I thought the defense really got after it. And this is to Beck's point. Patrick Payton was with the first team in this portion of the practice. He had a tackle for loss, which I put in air quotes because nobody's hitting anybody. You just get there and put your two hands on him. But he got Caden Durham in the backfield once. He also had a sack. He also swatted a pass to the ground. And he was just incredibly disruptive in the 7-play sequence that we saw him out there with the first team. He was working on the offensive left side against Tyree Adams and Carius Kern and had a lot of success doing that. Gabriel Relaford had a sack as well. And at that point, Bernard Gooden kind of took over that period. He shot the A-gap 3 different times, twice for tackles for loss and once for what probably would have been a sack. And Kyle Williams was like applauding him big time. Good was getting back there and doing a little celebrating, counting the money. He was disruptive in a big way with the offensive line. And then Jamari Butler beat Tyree Adams for a sack off the offensive left side to finish that. I think it's completely fair for me to sit here and say that there were some issues on the offensive line in the practice today. I think that's completely fair to say. I would back that statement up by saying it was the first day. They didn't have any pads on, and I'm not that concerned about it. Am I concerned about the offensive line as a whole? Do I have a lot of questions about the offensive line as a whole? Yes, I do. Did today make me take 2 wins off of LSU's season total? It did not. Like, it's 1 hour and a half work of practice. Nobody's got pads on. The quarterbacks are not eligible to be hit. It's just a different sport they're playing out there in the first day. Now, if they do this for 3 weeks while we're out there and there are multiple sacks in every period from all different angles, I'll sing a different tune. There was talk, out there at practice today about the 2023 reps that we watched, especially in the red zone. And it was just Jaden Daniels throwing a touchdown on every single rep. And it got it was alarming. But now we didn't realize we were dealing with one of the best passing offenses in the history of the SEC and one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defense in LSU history. But you kind of got the vibe that things were too tilted. And I'm not going to go that far after one day. I think after one day, I would say, looks like LSU's got some dudes on the defensive front. Looked like you had a good day, Bernard Gooden. Looked like you had a good day, Patrick Payton. Looks like you had a big sack, Jamari Butler. Gabe Relaford got in there and made his presence felt. But there were also reps where LSU had time to throw, and Nussmeier was awesome all day long. The last note on the quarterbacks, this was just something that I picked up on, even though he didn't really participate in any of the periods. Juwan Johnson works out with the quarterbacks. He does not wear a no-contact jersey. He wears the same jersey as everybody else. Nussmeier, Van Buren, Hurley, the walk-ons, they're all in red, and he's not. So, to me, that's a guy that's going to take some reps back there that are going to be live eventually where he's going to actually run with the ball a little bit and get tackled. Now, they're not doing that now, obviously, but I would have thought Juwan Johnson, who's moving completely to the quarterback spot, would be in the no-contact jersey. He's not. He's going to be eligible to be hit probably in practice moving forward. So that's a look at kind of what I saw. They're back on the field at 9:45. If you want to read about what I saw, Matt's got some notes in there as well. You can read over at LouisianaSports.net. It's free. It's one of the only free practice reports on the internet, I'm confident. Not the only one probably, but one of the few. So you can go check that out at LouisianaSports.net if you got some time and want to read through all of that. Back in action tomorrow at 9:45 out on the Ponderosa, and we will certainly be there. We'll have another practice report, and we'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. So that's 30 minutes on LSU's practice today. Let's do some What If Wednesday. We'll talk some LSU baseball. Had one guy get promoted yesterday, and then we'll get to some Saints with Ross Jackson coming up in 30 minutes. You're listening to a Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Closet space may not be something that you consider all the time, but if you're starting to think maybe you're getting a little bit cramped, just change it. Get a custom closet. David Duvall and his team will come in and help you out. I tell you my story every week about how I didn't think anything of my closet space, and then my wife-to-be, now my wife, moved in. She's like, this isn't going to work. So we had clothes down the hall, in the closet, coats in the attic, just a bad situation. You don't have to be like that. And we're not anymore because we knew we were going to move. Right, I called David Duvall. But if you're not going to move because you love your interest rate and you love your house and you're going to stay right where you are, but you need more space, One Bath and Closets can customize a closet to your exact specifications. It starts with a questionnaire at their free consultation. They'll understand what your needs are, and they'll put together something for you. Go to their website, onebathandclosets.com. See the pictures of the great closets they put in. See the functionality. Look at the beauty. And they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's One Bath and Closets. Check them out online at onebathandclosets.com.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs, reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Parish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Chugging through the work week. It's a Wednesday. Hope it's been a good start. Just about working towards the weekend here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Ross Jackson coming up in 25 minutes. We'll talk to Ross about today the Saints were back in pads. I've still got to go through my position breakdown for the day. That's LSU's linebackers. And I would not have expected to see the Weeks brothers at the linebacker spots today, but they were. Devon Keys was running with the second team. And then Charles Ross is with the second team as well. So I'll talk about linebackers coming up in the second hour as well. LSU Tiger headed up another level in minor league baseball. We'll do that to finish off the hour here. So lots and lots to do here on this Wednesday. But right now, it's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
Alrighty, let's see what we got here. What if you could take back one of LSU's transfers from the last cycle?
Whew, there are a lot of them. I've actually got the list here. And as I go through it, some interesting names that I'm going to consider. I would absolutely consider John Emery, considering LSU has 4 scholarship running backs and 2 of them are true freshmen. So I would consider John Emery. I don't know that I'm looking at any of the secondary guys. J.K. Johnson, Jair Brown, Sage Ryan, Kylan Jackson. C.J. Daniels was a good player at LSU, but I don't know that I need him on this roster with this many wide receivers. Same goes with Deshaun Womack, like big potential, but I got 3 transfers in and Gabriel Rutherford. Like, I just don't know that you need him. So as I look through it, your options are probably John Emery, Shelton Sampson, Kamorian Pimpton, Sage Ryan, who was a starter for you, C.J. Daniels, Deshaun Womack. I'm going to take John Emery based on numbers. Like, I know he can play the position. I would consider him to probably be the 3rd back, maybe 4th, but I need a 5th running back, and I would probably take John Emery.
Yeah, that would be nice right now. All right, next one. What if the Cubs had stuck with only playing day games at Wrigley?
They say that's a bad deal because the guys are out there in the sun all summer long, and they get up earlier than most and all that kind of stuff, and maybe it wears on guys. It would be bad for me because I like to watch them when I get home from work.
Yeah,
but
true. We would all be during our show.
Yeah, which they're playing right now in Milwaukee during our show. But they said it was a bad deal, and since the players are bad, I don't like it, and I prefer the night games since I can watch them, I would say that would be quite bad.
Yes, I tend to agree with you. All right, next one. What if LSU... Okay, well, this seems like a pretty obvious answer, but what if LSU has a top 10 offense and defense this year?
That one came from Twitter. They'll be in the playoff. I think they're probably an 11-1 team at that point, if not 12-0. If you're that good on defense and clearly that good on offense. I liked what I saw from the offense today for sure, and I think there's a world of potential on the defense. It's going to come down to that offensive line blocking. But if they do both of those, they're a playoff team. I don't know if they're the 1 seed or the 12 seed, but they're in.
All right, next one. What if the MLB enacts a salary cap? Will it be more balanced?
Yes, absolutely. If the Dodgers and the Padres and the Mets can't just completely dwarf everyone's payroll, then yeah, you're going to get more balance. You're going to get guys that are superstars that can't stick around in places because they're going to price themselves out of it, and you're going to share things. You're also going to get lower wages. You're not going to sign players to Juan Soto type contracts. You've got to deal with a salary cap. You're not going to be able to expand that high. So I get why the players are upset about it. I get why the owners want it, and it's just going to be a matter of who blinks first. And unfortunately, I think it's going to take a very long time. But yeah, you can't tell me that if the A's and Dodgers aren't separated by $230 million a year on payroll, that is clearly going to make a difference. They're going to be more competitive teams, and there's something good about that. But also, the Cubs should be one of the best spenders. So for me personally, as you know, I take every NCAA rule and I'm like, well, what is it? How does it affect LSU? I'm looking at every MLB rule and see how it affects the Cubs. That would be detrimental to the Cubs, I think, if they weren't allowed to outspend the Reds and Pirates.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to imagine the MLB with a salary cap. But I mean, we see it with all these other sports, and I think there would probably be a lot more parity. But I mean, even in the salary cap sports, we've still seen teams have runs that it's not really that common in MLB, even though there isn't a salary cap, and sometimes
that's because baseball, the better team wins fewer percentage of the time than basketball and football.
Yeah, that's true. All right, moving on. This one's interesting. What if Damian Ramos had made the extra point against Florida State? And I'll also add to that just all the other issues they had with special teams. Against Alabama, do you think BK still goes for 2 there?
If he makes the extra point, then yes, BK still goes for 2 against Alabama to win the game.
No, I'm saying like it's in the Florida State game.
Yeah, if he makes that extra point, you're still going to go for 2 in the Alabama game.
I think so too. Probably
3 months later, it's just a different circumstance, and you've got him on the ropes, and you got Jaden playing great, and he's tough to deal with in a 2-point spot, and you're gonna go for that. But if you make that and they go to overtime, they got a great chance to win. They were playing really good late. They were throwing the ball around. They scored that touchdown late on the last play of the game. So yeah, they got a great chance to win. And at that point, you're a legitimate contender to play for the national championship when you go to A&M.
I think
they lost at A&M.
I think the idea of it was just if it basically it's just questioning if he had more confidence.
He didn't go for 2 because he didn't think Ramos could get the extra. They got that cleaned up. They couldn't block. It wasn't Ramos' fault. They missed blocks on the extra point, and they got that cleaned up the next week.
All right, next one. What if you were stuck with one sandwich for the rest of your life?
Oof.
I mean, there's got to be. I would. What are the parameters here? Like, what are we just talking about? Like a basic sandwich, or are we talking about
a style of sandwich that you can get at any restaurant or make for yourself at home? But that's the only kind of sandwich you can eat. And I'm not going to classify burgers as a sandwich here.
No.
That's if we're going there, then I'm going burger. But we're not going to do that. And I enjoy a roast beef po' boy or a fried shrimp po' boy more than I do a club sandwich. But I eat 2 a year.
You can't just only eat shrimp po' boys.
I can't. So that's going to have to go out. It's really down to 2 here. It's a sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich, which I adore.
Very good for you as well.
Or just it's great cholesterol kick in the morning. Or it's just a standard club, which I love, and you can find at a lot of restaurants.
And that one actually is pretty healthy.
I can make one for myself. So it's just a question of, do I go with the more practical that I'm going to eat a lot for lunch, or do I go with the breakfast sandwich? That is brutal. I'm gonna go with the club, just out of practicality. I like a breakfast sandwich infinitely more, but I can eat other things for breakfast or just forego breakfast altogether. I got to eat lunch like every day, and a lot of times at work, or I need a club sandwich. I need a ham, turkey, cheese sandwich. That's just what it's going to be. So it's not my favorite sandwich in the world, but it's the one that I would pick if I could only have one the rest of the way.
I'm gonna go a turkey and pepper jack cheese sandwich, because I love to grill. I like to do a grilled cheese, and I like to do a grilled cheese with turkey on it.
Okay.
And that's one of my favorite sandwiches. God, it's relatively healthy. What were you gonna say?
I'm thinking about the fact, I couldn't have just that. I probably eat it maybe twice a year. A meatball po' boy, meatball sandwich, which is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I would be without it. That would just be a disaster.
It would be a sad day. But I think I'd go with that. There is a specific type of turkey. There's like a Cajun turkey that I like to get. That's really good. It makes a really good grilled cheese. I'd probably go with that because it's not and it's a decently healthy enough. Turkey's pretty good for you. Cheese is okay, but that's probably where I'd go with it. Where would you go, Cass?
I know you said that you wouldn't go with it, but I'd probably go with a roast beef po' boy.
I love it. I adore roast beef po' boy. A good one with Leidenheimer bread, and you get the gravy. I just give it to me, but I eat 2 a year. And so I eat clubs. I eat. I mean, if you count what I eat at work, I eat 75, 90 times.
But we're not just. It doesn't matter what you eat. You could just choose whatever.
Well, I can't eat a roast beef po'. I'm talking about utility here.
Okay.
When am I going to eat the roast beef po' boy?
Why can't you eat that frequently?
I could eat that every day.
Why couldn't you?
I mean, I just think it's impractical.
Why? Roast beef is
it fills
fine.
you up. I got to take a nap. It's dripping everywhere.
Okay,
so
you don't.
Good.
It doesn't have to.
Of course it is. I'm not arguing how good it is. I'm arguing how often I'm going to eat it.
You don't have to always get it with you can get it with not dripping, like that. You can do it different ways. And it's good. Roast beef's pretty good for you. It's a good meat.
I stand with my pick.
All right.
It's a club, which is a vanilla sandwich.
Yeah, it is. But it makes sense for you though.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right. We're moving right along here. Wednesday shows brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Contact my guy, Joey Blanchard. Check him out online, builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. We'll step aside, come back. One former LSU Tiger moving up the ranks in the minor leagues. Not a big surprise. We'll tell you who it is next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Most of you that are listening to this have never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. And we can change that. Get on by and see him. Airline at PQ. Doesn't cost you anything to test drive it. Once you get behind the wheel of the Genesis, you'll see the difference. They've got incredible perks that come with your new Genesis purchase. It's called the Complete Confidence. You got a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. You've got a 5-year, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty. 7 years, unlimited miles on your anti-perforation warranty. You get 24/7 roadside assistance, unlimited miles for 5 years. This is industry-leading stuff over at Genesis. It's not just that the cars are incredibly safe. It's not just that they're incredibly stylish. It's not just that their staff is welcoming and warm. It's the fact that once you get behind the wheel, they're going to take care of you because you're a priority customer. Genesis of Baton Rouge. Check out the inventory, genesisofbatonrouge.com. Go by and see them, airline at Piku. Get behind the wheel, test drive one, and see the difference at Genesis of Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. We have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. Period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe in a dream. Believe. You gotta believe. My whole team on wild.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, wrapping up hour number one here on this Wednesday. Got the word yesterday. Tommy White is moving on up. He spent the first portion of this season at High A in Lansing in the A's organization.
Athletics, just athletics, son. Make sure you denote that.
You can't go A's?
Oh, yeah, you can. But just make sure you don't say
I didn't say Oakland.
Okay.
I thought Oakland. I was going to say Oakland. I refrained from saying Oakland.
Should be Oakland.
Just the Athletics. So it's not Oakland, but at Lansing, he played in 66 games. He was hitting 260. His on-base 326. His OPS was 787. Had 11 homers, drove 36 runs in. He was in the Futures game. If y'all remember All-Star Weekend, he did make the Futures game. And so they have promoted him now to Double-A. It's just time to move. He's 22 years old, so it's time to get the show on the road up to Double-A and see how that'll go. The A's Double-A affiliate is in Midland, there in Texas, so he's played one game in Double-A in the Texas League there, 2 for 5 in that game, scored a run. So hopefully Tommy can swing the bat well there in Double-A and continue his ascent through that organization. Right now, Gage Jump is their number one prospect in that organization. He has just been absolutely brilliant this year. Jump joined Tommy White in the Futures game. So I know that Tommy's numbers aren't going to wow you when I say 260 with 11 homers, but you're talking about 66 games. You extrapolate that out. That's good power for him with the wooden bat, and I'm not sure what kind of hitting league the Midwest League is. I know the Texas League can get a little bit offensive, so hopefully Tommy swings the bat well and can move up. You're talking about an organization with the Athletics that's not super loaded at the major league level. They're not winning a lot of games. They're saving a lot of money before they moved to Vegas. So hopefully Tommy can continue his ascent to that organization. But good news for him. It was a great honor for him to get to the Futures game, and he'll be moving on up to Midland. So those of you that are in the Central Texas area want to go check out Tommy White, you got an opportunity to do that. A lot of LSU fans in the Midland, Dallas, Fort Worth area. I think Midland's reasonably close. I get lost in Central to West Texas. I'm not sure what's close out there, but I know there are a lot of folks that are in oil and gas that live in Midland. I've got some friends of mine that were in college with me that have moved to Midland, so there's got to be some LSU presence there. They can go cheer on Tommy White there as he has made his arrival in Double-A. So good news there for Tommy White. All right, closing up the hour, and got a lot to do in hour number 2. I went through a lot of my notebook for LSU football to start the hour and went through the first and second teams, went through some of the highlights of the day. To me, I thought the standouts of the day, if I'm going to give that award, were, as I mentioned in the second segment, Destin Hill had a phenomenal day, making acrobatic and in-traffic catches. That's a guy that I had no expectation for because I just didn't know what he could possibly be after 2 years away from football and then 1 year playing for Florida State and then 1 year with injury and then transferring over. Like, handicapping that arrival and what he's going to be, nearly impossible. And if today is any indication, he's a factor on a loaded wide receiver core. I thought Berrien Brown looked good as well. I thought Chris Hilton looked great again. But to me, Destin Hill was the star of the day with Garrett Nussmeier, and that kind of goes without saying. As I wrote in my practice report on LouisianaSports.net, like, we're all very aware that if there's no pressure on Garrett Nussmeier and he's able to just stand back there, read a defense, and chuck it, he's really, really good. And today was really, really good. So I thought that was great to see. On defense, I'm talking about my standouts. I thought that Bernard Gooden and Patrick Payton were clearly standouts on the defensive side of the football as far as getting out the field and creating some havoc. I'm tempering all of the things that I say today based on the fact that they didn't have pads on, and I think you've got to continue to beat that drum because it's so easy and so much fun to get in here and go, nobody can block Bernard Gooden. I told you, that's a guy that had 10 TFLs in South Florida. Kyle Williams is coaching him up like, this guy's going to be a terror. Can't believe Chris Hilton healthy. He's just going to be so dynamic. And they can't block Patrick Payton. He was the guy that had the same amount of sacks as Kiki Mingo in Florida State. Like, there's no way you're going to stop this guy. Like, you get going after 1 day of practice. And I told you at the top of the show, like, I'm excited for the first day, and I'll be excited to see him the second day, and I'll be more excited after that the first day they put the pads on. Like, that's kind of the deal. Like, day 3 in shells, not my favorite. And then, like, 2.5 weeks in, okay. But, like, right at the beginning, I'm in, and then right when they put the pads on and they change some of the drills they do and they play a little bit more 11-on-11, we see some more things. They do a little bit of tackling. They are doing, like, ferocious one-on-ones between the linemen. Like, that is interesting early on. But right now, it's just day 1. Just kind of getting acclimated to things. I believe Brian Kelly came to the podium today and said, look, guys, I've got numbers. I'm not sure what names go with what numbers. We practiced one time. We've got a million transfers. Things are a little different now. Like, give me a second. So it's like that with everybody. And look, back in 2011, 12, 13, when I was covering the team closely, you didn't see every single media member with the roster out at practice. Like, you kind of knew who was who. You could take your notes in time. Everybody today is going, what here? Okay, who's what that is? Okay. Ahmad Bro moved to 16. Okay, he changed his number. Okay. Well, there's 2 8s there. There's 2. It's a lot to deal with the first day. So a lot of number writing, a lot of making sure that you got your roll call correct, and it'll take everybody a little bit more time to get acclimated as this LSU team pushes off the dock. But it was good to get out there today. Full breakdown for the first 30 minutes of the show today. So if you want to find that, you can on demand at Hunt on LSU. And if you'd like to read Matt and my practice report, we kind of combine forces and put one thing up. You can do that at louisianasports.net for free. Not a lot of free practice reports out there. We've got it over at louisianasports.net. Speaking of louisianasports.net, Ross Jackson been all over Saints camp. They put the pads back on today. We'll hear from Ross after Sports Center. You catch your national headlines. And still got to go into some linebackers in the second hour as well. See you back for hour 2. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off MSRP on the brand new 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie with $22,500 off MSRP with a complimentary 7-year powertrain warranty that comes with all new Bayou Automotive vehicles. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here. We eat out here. We watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
Is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Bengals All-Pro defensive end Trey Hendrickson ended his holdout, reported to training camp today, indicated he doesn't plan on participating until he gets a contract extension. Regarding negotiations, Hendrickson told reporters, everything's the same. ESPN NFL analyst Louis Riddick.
This is an easy contract to do. This should be figured out. I just don't understand these types of things. It's hard enough to build a football team, but with premium players that are premium people that have produced for you in the past and are going to produce for you in the future, this is easy.
Chiefs receiver Xavier Worthy placed in concussion protocol. The Yankees with another move to bolster a roster without the injured Aaron Judge ahead of tomorrow's MLB trade deadline, acquired outfielder Austin Slater from the White Sox for a pitching prospect. The AL East leading Blue Jays looking to end that four-game slide up 9-5 on the Orioles' top seven. Kerry Carpenter with a home run and RBI triple. Tigers have opened up a 7-1 lead on the Diamondbacks' top seven. Red Sox lead the Twins 8-1 top seven. NL Central rivals Cubs and Brewers tied at 1, top of the third.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Thursday, Justin Jefferson said we'll need to be patient with J.J. McCarthy. I'll tell you why the Vikings won't have that luxury. It's Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings at 6, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is a catastrophe.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
That's what I wished for when I blew out my candle.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
The floor is yours.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Officially working towards the weekend. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Lots to do in hour number 2. I haven't gone into my thoughts on LSU's linebackers. We'll get into that coming up. And then I've got some more thoughts from practice earlier this morning at 2:30. Speaking of practice this morning, Saints back at it out there at the facility in full pads today. Ross Jackson locked on Saints and LouisianaSports.net. Good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Wednesday. Ross, how we doing?
Hey, man, doing great. Glad to be here with you.
I'm glad you're here with me. Let's talk about the black and gold. Back in the pads today, physicality picked up a little bit over the course of the last week.
Yeah, big time. And I would say certainly today, I think anytime that you start off practices, and I think you've seen this before, Hunt, when you start off practices with one-on-ones, that's always going to take up a little bit of physicality, especially when it gets to those team drills.
Let's talk about the linemen, and that's the most fun group to talk about when they actually put the pads on. Gotten a good look at Kelvin Banks with some one-on-ones?
Yeah, Kelvin Banks has been a player that's been a lot of fun to watch. He's really fast. He's really kind of fast and physical, but I think the fastness or the speed of his movement ability is one thing, but the speed of his sort of just kind of the way that he processes and understands what's going on in front of him, and the new system and the run scheme, all those pieces. It's just really impressive kind of watching this young guy go. He's got a lot of looks about him that make him look more veteran than rookie, and I think that's probably really promising for this team that went ahead and invested a top 10 selection of.
Trevor Penning moving inside to guard. I know that Kellen Moore talked about him yesterday, but what have you seen from him in this transition period?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of physicality, right? That's always been his game. And certainly playing in the trenches, down in the middle, and certainly in the interior is one of those things that really, really helps him big time because he gets to be a little bit more physical. He gets to be a little bit more aggressive. He gets to be a little bit more kind of dominant, especially in the run game, which is where he's always been at his strongest. He said he's got some things that he needs to continue to work on, hand placement, particularly getting his hands up. And then, of course, also, footwork and everything like that, because your footwork's a lot different on the inside as an offensive lineman than at tackle. And so I think that once he gets those in, we'll start to see some more of, the kind of the progress as it goes through. But he's really got the opportunity to work in that during these padded practices. So 2 down and with a few more to go, I think you'll continue to see the progress for him. But he's certainly feeling a lot more confident than I think that we're typically used to seeing him feel at this point in each of the training camps that he's been a part of.
Any sense from Tallahassee Fuaga that he's been demoted in a way, or you feel like he's more comfortable?
No, he's pretty comfortable. I mean, he's back where it was that he played, collegiate football, and he really loves being over on the right side and playing next to Cesar Ruiz. The two of them apparently joked around last year quite a bit about, man, how cool would it be if we got to kind of play next to each other, and then that's exactly what happened here in 2025. So it really opens up a little bit more of an opportunity for them. They have a lot of fun out on the field. When they get big run games, you can see them kind of, our run plays, you can see them kind of laughing at the defensive linemen and stuff like that. They're kind of clowning each other and others out on the field all throughout. So he's having a great time.
Now let's talk about the defensive side now that you've seen some one-on-ones. Anybody stand out from a defensive line perspective?
Yeah, from that defensive line perspective, Devon Godshaw is just kind of immovable. You know that very well.
Yeah.
That guy is massive, and he's somebody that is just, really, really physical, not just from sort of what you would expect with his hand usage and everything like that, but the way that he sits and anchors, it's just so tough to move him. And I think that's something that you're really looking forward to if you want to see this New Orleans Saints defensive kind of run defense improve going into 2025, finishing 31st in the NFL last year. Having somebody like that's not going to get pushed off the line of scrimmage, that's going to be able to kind of reduce those yards before contact. That's a major addition for New Orleans. It's no wonder why they, instead of going to free agency, they went and traded for somebody, and they immediately identified Devon Godshaw as a guy they wanted to go after. That, both Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore have experience going up against with the Chargers. And not having much success running his way, they decided that that's what they wanted in their room, and so they went out and got him. And I think Brian Brzee, the other one, his movement ability is just so surprising still at his size. And then, of course, guys like Chase Young and Carl Granderson with their athleticism continue to stand out as well.
Let's go back to Brzee. What did you see from him against the run last year? We know the pass rush statistically was very, very good. What about the run?
Yeah, I think it's probably the kind of weaker part of his game. It always has been, even going back to his Clemson days and things like that. I think one of the things that was always kind of challenging for him is in that 4-3 defense, when he's playing sort of that 3-tech role lined up between the guard and tackle, he's having to either dart towards the inside, kind of flash across the guard to try to penetrate, get to that A-gap between the centering guard. And those are big bodies that you're kind of putting yourself in the midst of. But you saw the success of the pass rush when he was able to work a little bit more in the B gap, going outside of that, flashing over the guard's outside shoulder instead. So he just had a little bit more trouble working inside than working outside. But now the way that this defense is going to work out, with the edge rushers being so far to the outside, kind of playing outside the tight end, even when there's not a tight end there, those tackles are going to have to take wider sets. That's going to create space between the tackle and the guard. So that's going to give him the opportunity as a player that's working off the edge to kind of be able to be in space a little bit more, because he'll be playing sort of the 3-4 defensive end role as opposed to being all the way in the middle of that defense. So I think it's going to give him a little bit more, like the benefit for him is that he'll get to work a little bit more in space one-on-one instead of being sort of mixed into those double teams with the bigger bodies on the inside. I think that's going to help him kind of overcome some of the struggles that he had in the run game in his early NFL goings.
Ross Jackson, Locked On Saints podcast. Of course, got our coverage at LouisianaSports.net as well, giving us a little bit of time here on this Wednesday. We talked about Banks. I know it's early, but any of the other rookies caught your eye here or there with the play?
Yeah, look, Quincy Riley, I should highlight, the Louisville corner. He got his second interception of camp today, and both of the interceptions that he's gotten in camp have been in 7-on-7s, but they've also both been in the end zone. And this is just what Quincy Riley does. He had 15 interceptions coming into the NFL. He had that was the most interceptions of anybody at his position in this year's draft class. He had 54 passes defended as well. And so this is just somebody that has a lot of production at the ball, and that's something that this Saints team desperately needs over on defense. And so he's been providing that. I'll highlight Danny Stutzman, who got a shout out from tight end Jack Stoll today. The two were were kind of matched up a lot because there were a few nicks and bumps and bruises at the tight end position. So Jack Stoll, coming over from Philadelphia, got a lot of opportunity today. And he was working against Danny Stutzman quite a bit. And one of the things that he spoke about was sort of the vocal leadership that he brings. This is a guy that consistently gets mixed into the first team now, along with Pete Werner and Demario Davis. And his sideline-to-sideline ability, his athletic ability are just kind of off the charts. And then you add kind of the football processing that he does. I mean, it's no wonder why he was one of the top off-ball linebackers coming into the league. And the Saints pretty lucky to get him as late in the draft as they got him.
And then back to safety. Obviously, Tyron steps away right before training camp breaks. So what's the word back there opposite Jordan Reed?
Yeah, so it's been a lot of Julian Blackmon here lately. They signed Julian Blackmon. Really, I mean, not a few days ago, the day before camp, it was clear that they were working towards a contract the same day that the Tyrann Mathieu retirement was announced, and then that deal became official the next day, after the first day of training camp. And he was here the second day of training camp and has already climbed his way up here, camp day 7, into the starting lineup. He was effectively with the first team the entire day today, and I think that makes sense. When you lose a guy like Tyrann, you try to find veteran experience where you can get it. And so maybe that is a big part of why you see a guy like Julian Blackmon immediately kind of leap a Jonas Senker, who's really talented, but, is a rookie. A Terrell Burgess, who's really talented, but hasn't had as much playing experience, even though he came in literally the same round and same year as Julian Blackmon to the NFL. But Blackman's got a lot of ball production in the NFL, 7 interceptions over the course of the last 2 seasons. And he's kind of been the guy that's next to Justin Reed here as of late. We'll see how that continues to rotate. Jordan Howden kind of started off there first. And so I'm sure that there will be changes there. But for right now, it's been a lot of Julian Blackmon with the first team.
We'll let you get going, get writing, all right? We'll be listening to Locked On Saints and check you out on LouisianaSports.net. Ross, we appreciate a little bit of time.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks for having me on. You take care. Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
Sounds good. That is Ross Jackson down in New Orleans. A lot of interesting stuff there that we'll certainly dive into as the show moves forward. If that offensive line's got to be good. They just have to. And if they can find a way to be good, you can start to let Kellen Moore's offense find its way. If they can't block, you can't do anything. It'll be the same thing we talk about with LSU. LSU's offensive line just needs to be 7 out of 10. The Saints' offensive line probably needs to be 8, 9 out of 10. And if they can get there, then both those teams are going to achieve what they're looking to achieve, which for LSU, that's getting into the playoffs and being a championship-style contender. For the Saints, it's getting the offense implemented and getting a young quarterback quality reps where he's not running for his life. That's what you're looking for those two operations. So we'll see. Hopefully both of them work out. Thanks to Ross for all that. Again, you can find all this stuff for free at LouisianaSports.net or at Locked On Saints. When we come back, let's talk some linebackers. I thought there was a little bit of a wrinkle today. We'll talk about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Businesses like yours are the soul of our community. You deserve someone who'll deliver the internet services you deserve. That's why local businesses rely on Rev Business, 90 years of building connections. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
River Parish Contractors has immediate openings for structural steel shop fabricators. Call or text Big Jake today at 318-547-1000 or go to rpcontractors.com and click on employment. River Parish Contractors. Let's get building.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport.
That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Wednesday shows Renaissance Homes and Pools. Call my guy Joey Blanchard. I'll give you his number. Get your phone out. You're thinking, it's time for me to get that outdoor kitchen set up. It's time for me to get that pool. Because it's really hot in South Louisiana. And you just like to get off work and jump in the pool. It's a great feeling. Call Joey, 225-252-7745. Custom Dream Pools. You've always thought I'd love to have a pool in the backyard, but just never have the courage to just go do it. Well, go do it. Joey will customize it. And the best thing about working with Renaissance Homes and Pools, you will work with Joey start to finish. He's the owner. It's not just some employee who may or may not be happy in his current employment and might be looking elsewhere and might not be there when the job's complete. No, if you design a pool and build a pool with Renaissance Homes and Pools, you're going to work with Joey start to finish. He'll be there for the design. He'll be there when they dig the pool. He'll be there when they fill it. He'll be there when they complete it. You don't have to worry about that. And you'll always have the owner of the company in your back pocket when you move forward. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. You can check them out online at builtbyrenaissance.com, builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, in-depth chart every day. Talk about a different position group. We got 3 more to go. Linebackers today, corners tomorrow, safeties on Friday, and that'll wrap that segment. And so I want to talk about the linebackers today because I wrote this morning before I went to practice, and I was a little surprised at who the starting linebackers were on the first day of practice and no pads in the 11-on-0 drill, which doesn't mean everything, but it certainly meant something as we were out there. You lose Greg Penn, who has been a 3-year starter, consummate team guy, wore 18 last year, was playing with broken ribs last year, didn't sit out the bowl game, was a guy that came out for interviews just about every single week. Like Mason Taylor and Greg Penn were out there almost every week. And he isn't the most talented player that's ever played at LSU, wasn't the most productive player that ever played at LSU, but was a solid piece to the middle of your defense really for 3 years. He started 4 games at LSU, had 274 tackles, 17.5 for loss, 5.5 sacks. And he moves on. Wasn't drafted, try to continue his football playing career as an undrafted free agent. But you lose him to graduation, and then you lose Xavier Adkins, who transferred to Auburn after 1 year in the program. I know that's one that LSU fans would have liked to have back, but he moves on to Auburn. So what do you have back from last year's team at linebacker? You got Whit Weeks, who's preseason All-American. You got Harold Perkins, who has been an All-American and a two-time All-SEC player. And then you got West Weeks, Whit's older brother, Devon Keys, who was kind of thrust into action last year. You lost Harold Perkins, and then West Weeks got hurt. So Devon Keys kind of had to play. And he did admirably. The biggest play he made was probably the tip ball pick six against Baylor, which was right place, right time. But he did catch the ball and outrun the Baylor offense to the goal line. But he made some plays. He started 4 games, and he's now got a little bit more seasoning than he probably would have had if you had stayed healthy last year. And then you've got Tylen Singleton back, who was a 4-star recruit out of Manny. Was a little bit undersized last year. I will tell you this. I was at practice today. He's not really undersized anymore. Tylen Singleton is pretty put-together dude. I think he was working at the Star today a little bit, and that's backing up Harold Perkins. You may see a safety come down there if Perkins were to go out, but Singleton was kind of working there. He's a really good athlete, runs really well. So that's what you've got back. Whit Weeks, West Weeks, Harold Perkins, Devon Keys, Tylen Singleton. And then you bring in a host of freshmen, 5 of them. And I don't know if it was because you brought in 5 freshmen that you didn't go into the portal, or it's because you feel that good about the 5 guys you've got back that you didn't go to the portal. But there were only 2 of the position groups that LSU did not dip into the transfer portal for when you look at the starting 22 on offense and defense. You got Van Buren at quarterback. You got a host of wide receivers. You got a couple starting offensive linemen. You got a tight end. You got defensive tackles, 2 of them. You got 3 edge guys. You grabbed a couple of DBs who can do various things in Delane and Cooley. Certainly got Jakeem Jackson as well. Like, you got every position except linebacker and running back you added in the portal. And I'm not sure what that tells me about linebacker, but they've got numbers there. It's just really young with 5 true freshmen. You got Zach Weeks, who's the biggest of the Weeks, by the way. If you look at the LSU listed depth chart, he's 6'3", 230. Witt's 6'2", 225, and West is 6'2", 235. So if you look at just height and bulk, he's the biggest. Then you got Charles Ross, who was running with the 2s today. Charles Ross, listen to this. He came in the spring. He was the top rated of these 5 true freshman linebackers. 6'1", 225, and ran track in Texas. There's a video from Shea Dixon's Twitter from a couple of years ago that has Charles Ross running the 100 meters next to one of the fastest guys that LSU's ever signed in their program in Jelani Watkins, who ran the 6th fastest time in LSU history as a freshman this past track season. And Charles Ross is in that breath. He was apparently clocked in the 4.4s in the 40 as a high school senior. He was certainly in a Texas track meet, clocked at 10.36 in the 100 meters. He can fly, and he's 230 pounds. So that's a guy that LSU is very excited about, who is a true freshman in this group. You've also got Jaden Breaker, who's a solid out-of-state linebacker who's 220 pounds. You got Keelan Moses, who was at practice today and dropped a pick 6 that he undercut a route and looked like he was going to catch it and take it back the other way for a touchdown. He just dropped it. And you got CJ Jim Coyley, who's also 6'3", as well, 220 pounds. So 5 true freshman linebackers kind of led by Charles Ross. But if you went out to practice today, which I did, you saw Whit Weeks and West Weeks working as the first team in the inside with Perkins out at the Star. And then you saw Charles Ross and Devon Keys working on the inside with Tylen Singleton at times out at the Star, which makes sense in terms of the guys that you were going to see. That counts all 5 of the guys who were coming back, and it accounts for Charles Ross, who's the best of the true freshmen. And I think that is one of those depth chart things that I can look at and go, that's probably correct. Because Ross is the most talented freshman, and he was here in the spring. And then you got 5 returners. If you got 6 spots, 2 deep of 3 each, that makes the most sense. So that is the core that you're looking at. And so if you look at it closely, like Whit Weeks, if he's healthy, is going to make 120 tackles. He's going to be a first-team All-SEC player. He's going to be mentioned for All-American honors, and he's going to be an early draft pick. Like, he is a guy you don't have to worry about. It's interesting, and I looked at his Pro Football Focus grades, that Whit Weeks had 3 bad tackling games, like that were in red on Pro Football Focus that were bad. UCLA was one of them. Who cares? They were atrocious. LSU crushed them. But he was really bad tackling against Texas A&M. He was really bad tackling against Florida, according to Pro Football Focus. In fact, like bad. 32.7 grade against Texas A&M, 35.5 against Florida. And those two teams combined to run for 355 yards and 7 touchdowns on 5.5 yards per carry against LSU. Like, LSU needs Whit Weeks week in and week out to be excellent. They just do. They've got to have him. And I have confidence he'll be that guy. And whether it's West or Keys opposite him, you need production from that guy. West was hurt last year, so you don't really know. He hasn't played a ton at LSU. He's been mainly a special teams guy. And Devon Keys did start some games last year when West was hurt. So that's going to be a competition. I would imagine they'll both play. I think they'll both play at Clemson. I think Keys is probably the guy. But certainly there may be something to having 2 brothers in there in the interior that know what each other's doing and can read each other's minds. But that's kind of the guys that you're jostling for position for there in the middle. And then you got Perkins on the outside. And we are now 4 years into this discussion. What do you do with Harold Perkins? And we've had this 50, 60, 80, 90 times. And to me, you've got to get him involved and you've got to let him run. So to me, the only unacceptable answer is to put him in the middle of the field and have him catch guards and tackles for 4 quarters. Like, that is the only unacceptable scenario to me. I think he's okay covering a little bit. I think he certainly needs to be rushing the passer a lot. I got the numbers from Pro Football Focus. He, as a freshman, had a 90.9 pass rush grade on 163 snaps. 90.9. That is massively high. You almost never see any scores in the 90s. That's his season-long pass rush grade. 163 rushes. The next year, he had 162 rushes. 1 less, but right on par. The difference is he played a lot more snaps. Instead of dropping into coverage 130 times, which he did as a freshman, as a sophomore, he dropped into coverage 291 times. That's an increase of 161. He was just in coverage a lot. And we know that Florida State that year schemed him out of the box. They knew where he was going to line up. They knew he was going to be in coverage, and they put somebody out wide that he was going to have to go mark. And they took him out of the game. You can't let that happen. I've told you this before. This is where my ability to scheme and draw up X's and O's in football stops. I know that Harold Perkins was out of the box the whole game. I don't have the answer to how to get him back in. But that's Blake Baker's job. So I'm not going to give you the answer or tell you I have an easy answer because I don't. But that's what has to happen, or else you're neutering his skill set. Again, he is pretty good in coverage. He runs great. He's got good ball skills. And, man, if he can get an interception, you're talking about a guy that can motor the other way. But you've got to find a way for him to be disruptive in some space. And that means rushing the passer, chasing down running backs behind the line of scrimmage, those types of things. You've got to get the offensive lineman kind of away from him. It's a hard assignment because he's not great at shedding offensive linemen, and you don't want him in coverage. So you want him just to have free runs on the quarterback and running back. Well, that's not going to happen. But you've got to find a way to scheme it up to get him free. And I think LSU will have a plan for that, and I think Harold Perkins will have a really good year. So I think LSU's running back group is very, very good. Linebacker group is very, very good. I think they've got to stay healthy, one, clearly, because you got a bunch of true freshmen standing and waiting in the wings for backups. But if you stay healthy, and Devon Keys takes a reasonable progression from year 1 to year 2, and West Weeks is the player he was at Virginia and early in his LSU career, instead of the guy that was banged up last year. And if you can find a way to get Charles Ross involved, more power to you, because that's a freakish talent. But I'm comfortable with where LSU is at linebacker. And part of what Blake Baker's job is this year is understanding that after this year is over, Harold Perkins, Whit Weeks, and West Weeks are gone. And these 5 guys that you brought in, now one of them, 2 of them probably going to transfer because that's just the nature of the beast, need to be very much ready to step in with Devon Keys, Charles Ross, and that crew next year. And that's part of the discussion in program building, or else you're going to have to jump right back in the portal and fill needs. But you bring in 5 freshmen, you feel like you ought to be able to cultivate 2 or 3 of them that are very, very good players. That's down the road. But for this year, for right now, for what LSU's got to go play Clemson, the 2025 linebacking core, I like it. I think it's very, very good in Blake Blaker's room at this point. So that's another look at your in-depth chart. If you'd like to read some more in-depth numbers on it, you can go check it out at louisianasports.net. That series is completely free. If you don't know about this shortcut, now we're getting into football. There's a lot of content up there. There's going to be press conferences, practice reports, columns, all kinds of things. Go to louisianasports.net, and there's a teams tab at the top. If you click teams and then click LSU, all the LSU content will show up right there. All the baseball, all the basketball, all the football, all the recruiting. Just click the LSU tab and check it out. It's all free. So if you'd like your keep up to date on the LSU ongoings, please do so over at louisianasports.net. We come back. We'll transition back to the Saints. Kellen Moore is at the mic. We'll talk about that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. I was standing in the sun today. It wasn't a ton of fun. But if you want to purchase a vehicle and you want to learn about all the bells and whistles of the vehicle and you want one of the brand ambassadors to go through all of that with you, it's, again, not a lot of fun to stand there on a blacktop in July or August next week and go through all that as you're drenched in sweat. So Genesis takes care of that. They've got a climate-controlled room that they pull the car up into. It's air-conditioned, so you can walk around the outside of the car, leave the doors open, and you won't cook as you're learning about the features of your new vehicle. Maybe it's the GX80. Maybe it's the Sport. But either way, you're not going to be sweating bullets while you go through it. It's that kind of a attention to detail that separates Genesis from a lot of brands of vehicles. I say it all the time. It's a luxury vehicle. And when I say luxury vehicle, going, well, I can't afford that. Just look, GenesisBatonRouge.com. Don't price yourself out. Go check it out. Get behind the wheel of a Genesis. You'll see the difference. Every single model in the line is an IHA top safety pick. That means among the safest cars on the road. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Find them online. GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always, no paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
We're Rev Business, a local provider with nearly 90 years of experience. So when it comes to business in Louisiana, we know that personalized service is key. And we're here to go the extra mile with all fiber solutions that deliver what every business needs: reliability and quality. We're not just providers. We're the local team dedicated to helping you succeed. True partnerships are homegrown. Rev Business, internet, phone, managed services. Visit us at letsrev.biz.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief: our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
It's been a fast-moving show. It's been a fast-moving day. I feel like I've been awake for like 10 minutes, and I got up fairly early this morning to get some things done, do some running, get a story written before we went out to practice, and then hustle back over here to get the show started. And then all of a sudden I look up, and the show is just about over. We got 20 minutes left. We got a lot to do in the last 20 minutes. We'll get to take it or leave it coming up at the end of the show. But Kellen Moore was at the podium talking about the New Orleans Saints and what they've gotten accomplished here early on in practice. And I want to spend some time talking about the secondary. We did a little bit of that with Ross Jackson at the top of the hour, but we spent more time certainly on quarterbacks and then towards the fronts when they put the pads on. And I want to talk a little bit about the secondary because you know this. When Dennis Allen was with the Saints, whether it was defensive coordinator or head coach, they did an exceptional job of identifying young DBs, drafting them, bringing them in, developing them, and they got great defensive back play. It started with Lattimore, obviously, but you can even go to a Debo who was really good. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson played exceptionally well. They developed some really good safeties. Marcus Williams was a really good player. They got good young defensive back play when Dennis Allen was there because that was kind of his position, and he did a great job of cultivating that. He did a lot of things really, really poorly. He did that really well. And so now you don't have that to kind of lean on, even though he did draft some of these guys. And the first guy I want to talk about is Kool-Aid McKinstry, who is a guy that Dennis Allen did identify and bring him in. And Kellen Moore spoke to Kool-Aid's camp as we've gotten to about a week and a half.
This has been a big-time camp for Kool-Aid. He's played phenomenal. His confidence every single day, he's just making a ton of plays, and you can just see his ability to transition in the coverage game is really, really good.
Nick Saban liked McKinstry a lot, and I realize he's not going to get on draft coverage and trash a guy that he recruited and developed. And so I will take it with a touch of salt there. But, I think that Nick, generally speaking, is telling the truth in a lot of the things he does on there. He did admit that he's going to pick Alabama more often than not because he's not going to turn his back on the players that he may have signed at some point. And I do get all that stuff. He's not under a mandate here to be completely truthful all the time when there are relationships involved. I understand. But I think he probably does think Kool-Aid McKinstry is a pretty damn good player. And we saw a little bit of it last year, but we also saw him get beat a little bit last year when he was thrust into action when the Saints got significantly hurt at the defensive back spot. But Kellen Moore spoke about Kool-Aid and the impression that Kellen Moore had once he took the job.
Certainly felt like he was going to be, like we've always talked about, that second year big jump. Sometimes that first year, obviously for him, dealing with some injuries, slows you down a little bit in that first year. This was going to be a second year jump. We felt really confident that was going to be. When I was in Philly, we thought really, really highly of him, and certainly Brandon did, during the draft process the year before as well when he was in San Francisco. So we felt like we were going to create a really, really good opportunity there for him.
It's that reminds me a little bit, to bring it back to Baton Rouge from New Orleans, of Jay Johnson talking about guys he noticed in recruiting, and now they're playing against him even though he's didn't land them. And you're talking about Staley and Kellen Moore, who saw Kool-Aid McKinstry as kind of a prospect at one point, and then all of a sudden ends up in New Orleans, and now they've got a chance to coach him. And you really, really hope that Kool-Aid McKinstry becomes an excellent player out wide, and you hope that Alontae Taylor becomes an excellent player out wide, because if you can get some of these young draft picks to be for certain hits, you can start to not worry about plugging that hole. The Saints have so many holes on this roster. You've got to find some plugs. And these are your short-term plugs at corner that you hope become long-term plugs. Quincy Riley is a guy that the Saints drafted this year. And you heard Ross Jackson talking about him 30 minutes ago on the show and how he's a guy that makes a lot of plays on the ball. He did that at Louisville, and he's now doing that in camp. And Kellen Moore talked about what he's seen from the rookie DB early on.
Yeah, he finds the ball and he attacks the football. I think that's one thing that we saw on film coming into the draft process. He's a ball guy. That's what you need on the back end. Mistakes are going to happen, but when you create turnovers, those impact games.
That is 100% true. There is such a difference between the guy who is physical with long arms, who can run and flip his hips, to the guy who can just go play the ball. His eyes tend to find the ball. He's great getting his head around and identifying things. He can read body language on receivers, and then has the ability, which some DBs don't, to actually catch it, which is a pretty big deal. And Riley did a ton of that in college. And if you can harness that and then bring it to the next level, those are game-changing plays. I love pass breakups on defense. Trust me. Great. Interceptions, preferable. And Quincy Riley does that. And we've seen it now multiple times in Saints camp. And you talk to Sharif on Tuesdays, talk to Luke on Thursdays, and we had Ross Jackson on today talking about, hey, like this guy is making these plays almost daily. And you start to feel like he's making an impression on Saints camp. And one of those interceptions came off of Spencer Rattler, and Kellen Moore talked about what he saw from the second-year quarterback throwing the ball and then the rookie cornerback making a play on it.
It'll be awesome one to watch on film and just have those conversations with the players just to make sure we're good. I thought it was a good, initially there was certainly we gave ourselves a chance. It was a good ball. Unfortunately, I think Quincy made a phenomenal play going and attacking the football. Similar to Julian a couple days ago when he was in here attacking the football. I think our DBs are doing a great job of locating the football, and we got to clean it up on the offense side to see it and give ourselves a chance.
It's funny because this time of year, whether we're covering LSU, we're covering the Saints, we're talking about big plays. And when you see a big play, it's like, oh, that's awesome that X did that. And then you also have to flip it on his head and go, well, who screwed up? Like, who allowed that to happen? And what you really want is for it to be a great play all around. If Rattler makes a good read and puts the ball in a place where his receiver can go get it, and the DB just does a better job, well, that's ideal. You don't want Rattler just making an absolute miss of a ball, missing his window by 3 feet and having an easy interception because the ball's 2 steps behind the receiver, and you don't want to just miss a safety coming over or a linebacker that's dropping into coverage that you don't see and put it right in their face mask. If you're going to have the ball turned over by the quarterbacks, you'd like it to be, okay, a committed read, guy that's down the field, you make the throw, and if the DB goes and makes a heck of a play, as Kellen Moore termed it, take his words, not mine, well, then you've accomplished what you were looking for there on that play. You want the defense to make some plays, and if the offense isn't just completely screwing up in the process, that's a good thing. And so it's good to hear the Kool-Aid's off to a good start. Quincy Riley's off to a good start. You feel like you've got some young pieces there that you can work with, but they've got to develop. And this is the time for development right now when you're early on in training camp. So there's a look at some New Orleans Saints in the secondary. It was a stalwart position for the entirety of Dennis Allen's run in New Orleans. Now he's not here as a security blanket. What can the black and gold do to restock those shelves and to become one of the better secondaries in the conference? Once again, those two guys can be a big help. We'll see moving forward. If you're looking for Saints coverage, Locked on Saints with Ross Jackson, awesome, but certainly LouisianaSports.net. And then my stuff, Hunt on Saints on YouTube, is fantastic. And we appreciate you all for checking it out and subscribing to it. Get your Saints feed right there every single day on your homepage. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. We'll come back and close it out coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
Hi, this is Beth Serena. Welcome to my pool. The first time I saw this beautiful pool, it exceeded every expectation that I had. They were able to get everything we wanted in this pool. It is a beautiful pool. We live out here, we eat out here, we watch TV out here. This is like our living room outside. We love this pool and everything about it. When we decided to build our pool, we called a great friend who is one of the best pool builders in the country in North Louisiana, and we said, who would you choose to build a pool in Baton Rouge? And without a hesitation, he told us Russell Pools. He said their history, tradition of great builds, great pools was unmatched. So of course, who did we call? Russell Pools. The advice I would give to anyone looking to build a pool is first call Russell Pools. They'll do an incredible job. It'll be incredibly organized. It'll be time efficient. And you will have your pool in no time.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
It's the free groceries for a year sweepstakes powered by Citizens Bank and Trust. Hi, neighbor at 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Register now at 1045ESPN.com.
It's funny how when things happen in the course of a year that you feel like you hit a check mark and you kind of move into another phase. And like as I walked into the practice facility today, it just immediately like
we're in that phase.
I got fall vibes. It's not even it's July. Which
Still
is
110
very
degrees.
much not the fall. Like July is not the fall, not even close to the fall. Our fall is like
November.
late November. So we're not even close to that. And I know how obscenely hot the first home football game is. But there's just a change in like the energy when I hear this all the time with the Chicago folks. Even though opening day at Wrigley in April is 39 degrees every year, they feel like summer's like off in the distance they can touch when they get to opening day. And I guess when you get to football practice and you hear the whistles and the pads popping eventually, which we'll get to later this week, it just kind of changes your perspective from like, okay, school's out, everyone's at the beach, no rules, to like, hey, we're about to get a little bit more structure in our lives here. And it was good to get out to the Ponderosa today. If you're just knocking off of work or just jumping in the car and missed our show and you're just checking in, I got a practice report fully up at LouisianaSports.net. It's got all your information there, and I spent the first 30 minutes of the show today talking about LSU football practice. So if you want to hear about the opener, and there were some interesting things. Like I feel like I'm pretty candid with my thoughts on football practice reports. Like I'm just not here to make grand sweeping generalizations based on one interception this guy threw, or one missed block that guy had, or one drop pass on an in route that this guy had. Like it's easy to do. You catch the one that's on they put on Twitter that, oh my God, did you see that one-handed catch? This guy's gonna be awesome. And like I'm not there, but I did think that there were some things today that you saw that that were interesting from a depth chart perspective, and then it looks like LSU's pretty healthy. So I'm excited to get back out there tomorrow again, kind of write up a new report and see what may change. Hopefully Nick Anderson's available tomorrow, and we're off and running with LSU football. So it's not as if we're in the content doldrums. I do realize that it can take a long time for the month of August to churn through. Can be 4 long weeks if you let it be 4 long weeks, but different vibe today as we went out and checked out some LSU football practice. So good deal. Let's do some take it or leave it now.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Take it or leave it, presented by Flight by Yingling. Yingling, America's oldest brewery, still family-owned and operated up there in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. The Yingling family is still very, very much involved in all the ongoings, and right now the newest ongoing is Flight. I got the slim can right here in studio, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories, but still has that delicious beer flavor. So if you're looking for a light beer, you're headed to the lake this weekend, you're going to be at the pool, or you just want something to cut after you cut the grass and it's 1,000 degrees, Flight by Yingling needs to be your summer beer. It is the next generation of light beer.
All righty. First one here. This was interesting. Titans number 1 pick and quarterback Cam Ward has had some press conferences after they have also started their camp. And after 2 days, Ward has thrown 4 interceptions. And when asked about the offense struggling so bad, he said, quote, "I just think we're very mid right now. At the end of the day, it all starts with me. Calling your offense mid, take it or leave it."
I'm going to leave it a weekend to camp. I mean, we threw a couple of picks in a practice session. I'm not going to get too fired up about that. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
This is just a whole new world for him. So I get it, mid, whatever. I'm not real into all that jazz, but it is what it is. They're not going to be great this year because they got a rookie quarterback. So here we go.
All right, next one. This came out a few days ago, but Luka Doncic, some photos of him apparently really working out really hard. He was on the cover of Men's Health magazine.
I heard that.
He's looks like he's on a bit of a PR tour here to show people that he is actually trying to look like a basketball player. But a new look Luka, take it or leave it.
I'll take it. If he's good when he's not trying, this should be one hell of a deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Because look, it's everyone kind of acknowledges that the Mavericks probably stepped out of bounds here. That's almost a consensus.
Yeah.
But if this was the kick in the seat that Luka needed, maybe that's even worse news for the NBA. I don't know what the Lakers roster is going to look like, and obviously they weren't great last year with Luka and LeBron, but he's very good. And if he is more motivated than he was, he'll probably be better.
All right, next one here. The MLB trade deadline is tomorrow, Hunt.
We're in 26 hours.
The Cubs will trade for a pitcher. Take it or leave it.
Take it. Multiple. They will trade for multiple pitchers. It's just a question of who those pitchers are and what they have to give up in return. I've already kind of set my sights on the prospects that I'm going to have to part with. I think Owen Casey is potential there.
Yep.
But nobody cares about that. I just want to see what the Cubs can do. If they can get Mackenzie Gore, that's awesome. It sounds like James Hauser from the White Sox is probably more likely. But yes, they will certainly trade for pitching. Adrian Hauser, yes. What did I say? Shane?
James or Jason Hauser?
I don't know. Whatever. I'll take him. It's always a fascinating time. I'm a little frustrated with the Cubs at this point because they played like absolute trash for 2 days in Milwaukee, which is disgraceful.
They are winning right now.
They are winning right now, but they played horrendously for 2 days. No, 2 days.
Yes.
And that makes me upset. And I was sitting on the couch last night watching the Cubs Gold Glove center fielder drop a pop-up and watching the Cubs not be able to make contact with the ball with a runner on third base and 1 out. And Bluey's on my TV, and there's a 3-year-old sitting there, and I can't really do the things that I would really like to do at that point. I would like to say some colorful words. I would like to maybe bash the pillow next to me and just be a complete grump. and be a child about it, and I couldn't do that because I had a 3-year-old. So
That's
first of
probably
all,
for the best.
massive credit to me for being so grown up and mature. That's a
Yes.
huge credit to
What
me.
a professional.
Just acting like a true dad.
Professional
there.
dad.
Amazing work by me. Secondly, I hated it. I didn't want to do it, and I sent a group text, or maybe it was a tweet that was out where it had the guy with like the blood coming out of his eyes and then the little happy face right in front of him.
Yeah.
Put on
That's a
the
good
happy
one.
face. I don't
Really
think the
good
Myers
one.
man knew that his dad was just absolutely dying with every pitch of this. I turned the game off. When PCA dropped the fly ball, I turned it off. I can't watch this. I'm watching blue.
It's a bad sign whenever Andrew Vaughn looks like Mark McGwire and William Contreras is hitting tanks and he's got 4 home runs on the
Kyle
season.
Tucker just hit a 2-run double, so it's 8-3. I feel good about that.
That's good.
And wish Myers was here to see me smile because that's a more appropriate. More appropriate.
Only problem
action
is
for me.
Shota is only going one more inning and the bullpen has not been very good
But
since
Palencia
All-Star
is
break.
ready. But Palencia is ready to go.
He
'cause
is,
hasn't
but
had a pitch.
there's still 3 more innings before we get
There
there.
are, but we got a 5-run lead, so I feel good about that.
Yeah.
If the Cubs lose this game, I'm going to be in a bad
It's
mood.
going to be a real problem.
I don't want to go play basketball outside if the Cubs lose this. It choked this game
Basketball?
away.
So he's on
basketball.
He's on
right
basketball
now.
now.
He's shooting hoops.
Oh, okay.
Not playing much baseball and more on basketball.
No more BP for you.
But he got in some trouble because he's trying to play basketball in the house.
Oh, yeah, that's
And then
not
we
good.
said, don't do that again. And then he just took another.
Did it again.
Did another jump
Just
shot.
why?
So
Why not?
He had to go.
He's
got to
get. He's got to get those jumpers up, huh?
I was in timeout. Guy needs to play more baseball. Basketball probably not in his future. We'll see. All right, that's it for a Wednesday. Practice report at LouisianaSports.net or on demand. Hunt Palmer Show. Matt's going to drive you home. We're back tomorrow. Another LSU practice report. Looking forward to it. Have a great and safe Wednesday evening. Back tomorrow with the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish Contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in